Hello friends, for today's video we're going to be chatting through episodes 50 through 55 of Attack on Titan Season 3. Before jumping into the specifics for each of the individual episodes, if I seem exasperated or deflated or disappointed, it's because I am, but not at the storytelling, not at the writing. I genuinely felt that these were probably some of the best episodes of the entire show. I was so invested. I was metaphorically glued to the TV. I was so nervous, and I had every right to be nervous because Erwin is dead and I knew it was gonna happen. So I'm very upset. I even wrote very large in my notes, I am upset. Anyway, I am wanting to make this note before jumping into the specifics, just because if I seem snarky or bothered, I am, but it's a compliment to how well the show was able to make me care so much for these characters. It's not meant to be me saying I am upset at the writing or that I feel the quality has gone down. I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know at some point I'm probably going to be like, oh, this was stupid, this is dumb, or something like that. I also want to note that I don't even care about Bertholdt and Rainer anymore, okay? Because when we get that flashback and you find out what happened, I was like, no, wait, what? It was such a 180 for me because before I was like, oh, this is kind of sad. Like at the end of season 2, I was sitting there saying, man, I can just feel all of you who know be like, I'll just wait till she gets there. I just, when I got to the end of season 2, those last chunk of episodes, at the end of season 2, and I was like, oh, I just feel bad. I feel like they can't help it. They don't have any say. And then you see what they did to Marco in this batch of episodes, and I was like, I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. I wanted to throw something at the TV, and I was like, no, that would do no good. Oh my gosh, was I so upset about, I was just so upset about so many things. But anyway, I'm like, I don't even care about them anymore. I don't even care. I mean, I do. I still want to know. I'm very curious. Have that in common with Erwin. Should probably just start jumping into the specifics. This batch of episodes was so good. It was so good, and it starts, I'll just jump into it, with the town where everything began, episode 50. There was a new intro. I was excited about it at the time enough to write down that there was a new intro. I don't care about that anymore, all things considered. I also put the one Titan isn't a Moonlight Titan. That's something that gets said during this chunk of episodes. We didn't get a ton of detail regarding this. It would seem that my theory that sunlight has something to do with the ways in which the Titans don't seem to function at night versus during the day, and it seems like some of them can, it just depends, and I had said I would imagine it has something to do with moonlight, and I really liked that they purposefully went back during a night where the moonlight wasn't going to be able to help the certain Titans. How come the one Titan that ate Eren didn't get his powers? So you don't need to tell me. I'll figure it out. It's like the Mikasa, Levi, Kenny thing where I'm like, wait, is Mikasa related? In this instance, it's very possible that I'm stupid and I'm misunderstanding something, which, hey, that's fine. But the whole idea is that if there is a person that has Titan abilities, that if a Titan eats the person who has Titan abilities, then that Titan will turn back into a human, and they will have the abilities that the Titan form, the human, would have been able to tap into. They'll now have that. So, back in season 1, when Eren got eaten, why didn't that Titan turn back into a human? I am probably missing something, and that's fine. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that Eren was swallowed, but then not ingested? I'm not really sure. But, I mean, Annie kind of did the same thing, but she didn't, I guess she was more so just trying to store him. So maybe it has something to do with that. I'm assuming it does. Obviously, this show has proven time and time and time again that if there's any question that arises, there is a solution. So this just might be that that's all it is you have to actually munch on them. I also wrote, I don't want Rainer to fight them. I don't feel that way now. As they are searching for Rainer and Bertholdt, Armin, this is when he gets the idea that, hey, search the walls. And the way this scene happened really kind of took me by surprise because it was so suspenseful when they're tapping on the walls and you're like, oh geez, no, I don't want them to find them. And the one person that apparently was pretty disposable because he didn't last very long, but he taps on the wall and he's saying, oh, it's hollow here. And then Raynor just opens it and stabs him, and I wrote no. And then in parentheses I put, but also Levi is so cool because Levi just immediately darts down and goes after Raynor. But then at the time, I was happy that Raynor wasn't dead. Now looking back, I'm like, dude, if only you had wiped him out right then and there. Shortly after that, the Beast Titan shows up. I was very upset by this. I hate the Beast Titan. And then a lot of other Titans. I don't know how he hid them. I don't know what ability the Beast Titan is, but it's unfair. He has too many advantages. I do want to compliment the show in that every single time it seems as though maybe our heroes finally are somewhat on equal footing with the enemy, something else occurs or something else is revealed that basically is showing you, just kidding. No, they're not. They're at a huge disadvantage all the time. I just really respect the way in which they're able to continuously raise the stakes, even if I just want them to have their victory, but it does make the victories that much sweeter. The word I have used multiple times whenever there is a moment where finally we gain a little bit of ground is triumphant. Those moments are incredible, and it's because of the amount of loss that we face, the fact that we do have to be the underdog constantly. Moving to episode 51, which would be Thunder Spears, I did like to go off of what I was just saying, that they are very aware. We have one individual who can turn against a Titan, and then obviously people have been trained to kill Titans, but we are going up against such an enormous threat, more than likely. So we need to find ways to improve our weapons. And I love that Hanji is always such an important factor within this. I just love this character in general. If she dies, I'm going to be so upset. I was so worried within this batch. I was pretty sure she was fine because, as I stated in previous episodes, that when characters die, they're pretty upfront about it, and it wasn't very upfront with her, so I was quite certain she was maybe not all right, but I figured she was alive. But they need to stop doing this to me with Hanji, because they did it with the episode where Krista's dad and Krista had Eren, and then our heroes come in to save him, and she gets knocked to the ground and injured. And I was like, hey, she better be all right. And now they're doing it again. And when they did that before with Erwin, it was because they were foreshadowing, like, oh, we're getting slowly there. The foreshadowing included more details, of course, than just like, oh, he's hurt. But anyway, I was worried about Hanji as all. But she came up with how to create these weapons. These were awesome. And the first thing that I wrote was, oh, geez, Raynor is already crystallizing. So obviously he's the armored titan, but I think he specifically was making his claws that crystallized material so he could climb the wall. And just that imagery is already so threatening. I specifically didn't really write anything particularly interesting for this section. It was just more reactions. So I put not the horses, because they realize, oh, they're gonna go after the horses, so we're trapped here. And I hate it. I hate when the horses, and that's part of why I hate the Beast Titan, because pretty much the first time you're introduced to him, he throws a horse at a guy. I was worried for the horses. And then I also wrote, Connie must be losing it, because he's been waiting to see this stupid Beast Titan, because he's relatively certain that somehow the Beast Titan is related to his mother turning into a Titan. But Connie kept his cool. He stuck to the battle. He's one of the few characters that I feel like actually does. I like that character. He doesn't get as much screen time, but I do quite like him. The next thing would be Levi versus Beast Titan. Let's go. I have been waiting. We have seen Levi briefly in the first couple of seasons show his prowess, and then you see him against other people. Those scenes were fantastic at the beginning of this season, but I have been waiting to see him actually get to show his skill, and I knew it was coming. I was ready. The idea of him against Beast Titan, I was like, yes. Then our characters do somewhat surround Raynor, and they manage to use these Thunder Spears. They're actually seeming as though they're going to defeat him. I don't know at this exact moment everything involving Raynor and Berthold, but I was worried because right before Raynor goes out and the episode ends, he says, wait, and I put in my notes, Raynor, stop, this is sad. And complete about face, because episode 52, which is called Descent, when they show you this flashback, the first thing I said, did they kill Marco? As soon as they showed it, I was like, oh no, if they killed Marco, that's unforgivable. Sweet, heroic Marco, the one that was so kind to Sean when he was beating himself up over the battle for Trost. I was like, no. So I knew it was coming. As soon as I was like, no. But the brutality of it was so upsetting. So I put, did they kill Marco? With several question marks. And then I said, oh, I don't feel bad for them anymore. I was fuming. I was like, I don't even care. Get them. Get them. I was so upset. That has to be, I think, the biggest, not aha moment, but just the betrayal of it all. Where I was like, you have been turning into Titans and wreaking havoc, and for some reason, I was, like, willing to forgive. I was like, but I feel like there's more to it. And now I'm like, no. After seeing the one, because there's something about, obviously, when you're in your Titan forms, you're not quite aware of the level of destruction. I know I'm making excuses, but Eren, when he was fighting Annie, it reveals to us, it makes it known that a lot of innocent people died because of that fight. So there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe they're like not totally in the right mind. Maybe they're being controlled by the Beast Titan or something. I don't know. But now I'm like, no, I can't fall back on that. They made that decision. They absolutely, with full control over themselves, made that decision. Reiner is still alive though. So I feel like we're gonna learn something about Reiner, and then I'm gonna be like flip-flopping again, because I've been feeling so bad for them for so long. And then slowly I've been like, well, I mean, like, you kind of chose your side though, but it's still sad. And now I'm like, it's not sad. And I'm worried I'm gonna feel something again. I don't know. That's pretty hard to come back from. I really was upset when they didn't get him at the end of this batch. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How many times do we have to defeat him? I'm mostly really upset, though, at Beast Titan. I hate Beast Titan. We'll get into more details about that. I'm going to keep going. I also was wondering, so they say the Beast Titan's name, finally. War Chief Zeke, I think, is how it's said. And there's a part of me, I'm like, what? For half a meaning, who is he still? Because I don't know that name. That name I don't think has been said yet. And I did for a brief second before they said his name. I was like, is it Annie's dad? And then he does say kind of cryptic-y things related to Eren and Eren's dad. I'm like, there's still something going on with that. I don't think it's Annie's dad, but that was a decent thought. I thought it made kind of sense. But now I'm just like, no, I don't think so. Anyway, so then Armin is like, what if we just talk to them? And I wrote, Armin, please, you cannot negotiate. You can't. I have more information at this point, so it is unfair of me to place that on Armin. I think it was bold of him and compassionate of him to try to extend a hand across and say, hey, we don't have to do this. We don't have to fight. And I'm over here like, they killed Marco. Get him. But he doesn't know that. But also at the same time, I just want to feel my feelings and not have to hold myself to this, like, but I have more information than Armin. A part of me is like, just fight already, okay? How many times do we have to fight them? They have made their bed, now they have to sleep in it. And by sleep in it, I mean get blown up by the thunder spears. Last thing I wrote for this episode. This is the only justification that could make any sense to me behind their motives. As of right now, with the information I have, my little theory is, do they want humans to die so the planet can survive? Because the way that Beast Titan thinks about them and the way they think about people, they seem to think of them all as, you're all terrible, you're all awful. And I'm just like, I mean, why would they have an issue with all of them? Because even Bertholdt starts adopting this language in this moment. Because when Armin's like, please wait, we can negotiate. And he's like, are you willing to all die? Or something like that. I didn't get the exact quote. I'm paraphrasing if you couldn't tell. I don't know what their motives are. And I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like, I don't think it's that, just to be clear. I just don't know what it is. Episode 53 is titled Perfect Game. And I thought it was very notable that the Beast Titan seems to have knowledge of what is basically baseball. I don't think this was some kind of world building slip where the creator inserted a reference that we would get, not realizing, wait, this reference doesn't make any sense for these characters. How would they know about, if not baseball, at least some kind of game similar to baseball? I don't think that was a world building slip. I think it was intentional. I think that the Beast Titan is aware of there being some kind of either civilization outside the walls. That's been something I've wondered about since the beginning. Or two, there was a civilization outside the walls and it died out and the Beast Titan's really old and he recalls this. Or he's from the future. I don't know. Is he an alien? I don't think it's that. But he obviously has knowledge of some kind of the existence of some other kind of society where they would play sports, basically. The first thing I actually wrote was, man, the Colossal Titan is so giant. I forget how big it is. I mean, the one that was scooting was bigger, I know, but the Colossal Titan is massive. It is massive. I don't know why whenever one of them is really a lot bigger than the others, I always feel the need to write it. It's not an interesting thing to take note of. And then the second thing I wrote was Beast Titan knows baseball. And then I wrote, Levi always has to watch people die. It's sad. Can this guy just have some happiness? He's done so much for so many people, as has Erwin. Anyway, and then I wrote, Eren is basically the size of his foot. Meaning, not Levi, obviously. The Colossal Titan. It's another note about how massive it is. And then I wrote, let's go, Sean. Because Sean really stepped up in this battle. There's not much else to add. He really did. Armin was kind of like, oh, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. Sean, help. And then Sean's like, okay, let's go. And I was like, nice, man. Those leadership skills have developed and built over time. Especially when we think about where he was when Marco was alive versus right now. Anyway, and then I put the horses. Oh, yeah, sorry. There's this stupid guy. I don't know his name. I probably wrote it down somewhere. But who cares? That guy that's just... I'm not upset. I should let you know who I'm talking about. There's a character that is with Levi and Erwin and those set of scouts. And this guy just starts having a meltdown. Understandable. I can only imagine. It's horrific. This massive, weird Titan keeps throwing rocks and just slaughtering everybody in front of you. And so he's sitting here like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I get it. But then he starts saying things like, who cares about the horses? Because Erwin's kind of thinking, we should probably retreat. Get these horses, get our scouts out of here. That's our only chance of survival from here on out, basically. At least we can live for another day. And we can fight again another day. And this guy just starts going off about who cares about the horses? Who cares about the horses? And I was like, hey, first off, I care about horses. Second off, you guys wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for these horses. Let's be real. And the frame right after he's ranting about who cares about the horses, they all look so upset with him. The horses, not the people. The people are kind of like, like they're getting caught up a little bit in his fear. But the horses looked upset. I wrote the horses look pissed at this guy. And then we have this conversation between Levi and Erwin, and it was very well done, but I knew where it was going, and I wasn't liking it, and I said this Levi-Erwin conversation is upsetting me, and then I put the quote, give up your dreams and die. I'm gonna cry if I don't move on. I am so sad. I feel that I'm not saying anything interesting, or I don't have any good theories right now. I'm just emotional. When he said that, and Erwin just kind of was like, yeah. And he sort of smiles a little bit too, because there's, I feel like, a sense of relief in knowing a little bit, even though it's devastating. It's devastating. But at the same time, he can finally take this enormous, unfair burden off his shoulders and just do his job the way everybody else is doing. Ugh. And then I also, another quote. It's an Erwin quote. And it went on, and it was fantastic past this point. I only caught part of it. The brave fallen, the anguished fallen, the ones who will remember them are us, the living. I am not going to be able to say anything that does service to that moment. I just thought that whole conversation between the two of them was fantastically done. I think when you kind of juxtapose this to the conversation they had before they left and the way in which it was basically being revealed, Levi was getting a glimpse into the fact that Erwin a little bit was starting to spiral. But to have this last moment where he really has, in a sense, returned to this pure goal of doing what is best for everyone. I think that was tragic but beautiful simultaneously. So I really think that this moment is one of my favorites. Anyway, episode 54, titled Hero. I wrote no. That was the first thing I wrote. Because they charge in and it's epic. And then left and right, Beast Titan is just taking people down, including Erwin. And then I have a quote from the Beast Titan that says, "You're not like your father, right? You've got to try and enjoy things." What? Destroying people is fun? I hate him. I hate him so much. Yes! And then that's in reference to Levi, because he is getting them. And then I wrote, no! Because he's getting away. Okay, that whole part, Levi just basically soaring through the sky, and while they're all distracted, while all the Titans are distracted by Erwin and this heroic charge, he is taking them out. And it's not even difficult for him, and it's great. And then he gets the Beast Titan, hence why I put yes! And then no, because he gets away, the stupid Titan gets away. I just want them to win, but I'm like, there's a whole other season. There's no way. I know this. I know there's no way this battle was going to end with like, oh, and then the hero saved the day. But I so wanted it. I so badly wanted it. Now, segueing to the other side, where we see them trying to take out the Colossal Titan, them being pretty much Armin and Eren, because the rest of them cannot do it. I picked up pretty quick. I said, is he going to try to make him use his ability over and over again? Which he did, which was brilliant. And I did really like that Eren got to take out the Colossal Titan just as a scout. I thought that was really great. There's something sort of humbling about that. However, I was so sad for Armin, and I just wrote, Armin, no, because I was like, what? I thought that was it for Armin. I also, in the same way, I felt it was sort of tragically beautiful for Erwin to go out the way he did. I also thought similar things for Armin, so even though I was really sad about this idea, I simultaneously was... It sounds terrible to say happy. I wasn't happy about it. I was glad that he was able to do something so significant and monumental, something that pretty much changed the entire tide of this fight. That all came down to the fact that he was able to piece together how they could actually stand a chance against him. It was his ingenuity, it was his intelligence, and the fact that he was able to work with other people. In this case, it was Eren. So again, happy's not the right way to put it. Glad's not the right way to put it. I suppose, was happy for Armin that it was a decision that he was willing to make, and that I think he was, in a sense, proud of himself for making this decision. And it just shows his resilience. Just shortly after that, Hanji finally shows up. I was so glad to see that she was there. I was bummed, though, that the person, I don't really know him. He was only there for a couple of scenes, but there was that person that was with her oftentimes, and you see that he pushed her and she ended up falling into that well, and that's how she survived. But I was bummed that he's gone because he seemed really nice and supportive of Hanji. Eren, though, getting back to him, I wrote, yes, Eren, and then I said, will he eat him? And then I said, will he eat both of them? I don't know if that's possible, but that does make me wonder. If Eren were to eat the Titans that also have powers, I mean, that was the whole idea behind Krista's family, right? That they were trying to gain back the Titan powers they originally had. So maybe it's not exactly the same. But we did sort of touch on this when talking about their powers. But if Eren were to eat Berthold and then he were to eat Reiner, would it create, as cheesy as this sounds, a super Titan that has several abilities all in one? Or is it not possible? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's not relevant. The last thing I wrote for this episode was, no, Armin, when you see how hurt and injured he is, and you think that he has passed away. Those 2 episodes might be 2 of my absolute favorite episodes from the entire show. Not just this season, the entire show. They were so edge of your seat. They were so emotionally driven. They actually really had to strategize, but they had to do so on their feet. They had to be quick about it. They had to come up with a plan and just give it a try, and there was so much risk behind that. And it was animated incredibly well. It was great. Those 2 episodes, I think, were basically perfect. And then episode 55. It's not that I'm saying it's not perfect. It's just this was probably the most frustrating moment to reveal to us that Armin is alive and Erwin is alive. Why? Why did they have to put us through that? Why did they have to make Levi make that decision as if he hasn't gone through enough? I was so upset. This is the main reason. This episode was the main reason I felt the need to start this video by saying, hey, if I seem upset, I'm not upset at the storytelling. I'm upset at the events, which is a compliment. It's a good thing. However, oh my gosh, this whole episode, if you had been sitting next to me while I was watching it, you would have been like, oh, she's upset. She's pissed off. Because I was just like, dude, no, stop. Why are they doing this? Oh my gosh, why are they doing this? Use it already. Use it on one of them. One of them's going to die, or they're both going to die. If you don't use it fast enough, they're going to die. It's not even going to matter. Oh my gosh, Aaron, shut up. Mikasa, stop it. And I hope I didn't just hurt your ears, because I feel I got quite loud just now. I was so upset. The first thing I wrote, eat him, with a really big scribble and then an exclamation point. And that was to represent the fact that my poor husband, I kept being like, eat him over Bertholdt, because I was like, they better not get away. Bertholdt better not get away after that awesome way they took him out, and after everything Armin just did, he better not get away. So I'm like, get him, eat him. Oh my gosh, I was so worked up about that. And then stupid Beast Titan. Who cares? I don't care about anything that comes out of this man's mouth. I hate him. He wrote, we're both victims of your father. And I wrote, who cares? You don't have to kill people. This idea of like, I'm a victim, especially specifically because of your dad. And I'm like, shut up. I don't care. I don't think that there's any, unless I'm wrong. It's very possible. And if I am, I'll admit it. I don't think there's a single way that in any fashion he is redeemable for me. None. I hate him. I hate this character so much. And it gets worse because he like comes on up, he doesn't. He is brought over so he can get his little words in before he skedaddles away. But he's like, Bertholdt, I'm sorry, but I think it's the end for you. And then just dips. And I was like, he really is the worst. I mean, I'm upset at Bertholdt too. Armin tried to negotiate. You wouldn't hear it. Why? I don't know. I'm still clueless about that. But, oh my gosh, he's on your side, man. Zeke, or whatever his stupid name is. Bertholdt's one of yours. You're not even willing to try. Aaron's just standing there. He's not even doing anything. I'm glad he didn't try to do anything. I want to make that known. I'm glad that the fight didn't continue because I was too emotionally drained for it. But I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that he's like, sorry, man. I think it's it. I'm not even going to try. And he just leaves. Gosh, do you hate... I mean, everybody has to hate him, right? Is there anybody that's like, I actually just feel like he's misunderstood? Because if so, I don't agree with you. But I there's no way, right? I don't know. Again, I could be wrong. Continuing on, I'm like, Armin's alive. And then I said, gosh darn it took Rainer, because they do. They're like, well, Bertholdt, sorry, buddy. Well, I'm going to go get Rainer. So they get Rainer. After all that, after they made me watch him kill Marco, he gets away. Can there be enough for the both of them? Which, that wouldn't make any sense. And if you're like, what are you talking about? So, obviously, Levi has the thing that he's going to inject either into Erwin or Armin. And I don't like this whole situation at all. Not one bit. I am upset. And the characters are too. And there's a part of me like, it feels like the whole Titanic situation where you're like, there's room for both of you, you don't have to drown and freeze to death. You don't. You can just sit on, like, you guys, there's room. So part of me is like, can there be enough? Can there be enough of the spinal fluid for the both of them? I know it doesn't really make sense because there's only one person to eat because they didn't get Rayner. They just got Bertholdt. So I don't think it would have even mattered. But at least there would be a chance. You know, they took back this whole city. They can just let Armin Titan, like dumb Armin Titan or dumb Erwin Titan, just like they can just live here for now, you know, and eventually they can find Rayner or Beast Titan or somebody, and then he can finally eat, and he can turn back into a person, and he can still be alive, and he can still be with us. I know it didn't make any sense. I just really wanted it to be so. After that, I wrote, no, Erwin. And then I wrote, shut up, Bertholdt, because Bertholdt, when Armin turns into a Titan, and he goes to eat him, and Bertholdt's like, Bertholdt, excuse me, I don't know what I just said, but Bertholdt's like, no, guys, please, and I was just like, shut up, did you do anything when Marco was shouting? Also, I need to go back to the Marco thing, okay, I need to go, wait, yeah, Marco, not Marlowe, I might have mixed up their names at some point, I'm all over the place, whatever. So, Marco, though, I need to talk about this for a second, because I understand why they did it. I don't think it was justifiable, but still, I get why they did it. They panicked. They're like, oh no, he knows we're Titans. This is bad. We can't let him get away and then potentially reveal our identities. We gotta kill him. However, we can't necessarily be the ones to kill him because if they find his body killed in a manner that is obviously from a human and not a Titan, that'll raise suspicions. Okay, I understand, but I'm like, hey, you could have just, I know this is going to sound weird as like an argument, so I apologize, but I'm like, you could have like snapped his neck or something, you know? Like it was devastating to hear him shouting, and when Annie shows up, he's like, Annie, help, please. And gosh, I don't even want to try to make you relive that scene, and I don't want to think about that scene, but they're like, oh, what? I guess we just got to let it happen, all three of them. Bertholdt, Annie, and Rayner, which, by the way, makes me hate Annie now, too. Anywho, so I'm like, okay, to do that, this poor guy is facing this betrayal, this confusion. You take his stuff, and then you leave him there, and you just watch. You just watch him. And obviously, this is the first time you see Rayner split, because he knows he messed up. But I'm like, you could have ended it quick, because at least if he, like, snaps his neck or something, then you just, like, push him off the roof. And you're like, oh, when they find his body, you're like, oh, I guess something happened with his gear and he fell. Or something, you know what I'm saying? And also, it's possible a Titan would stumble on his dead body and eat him anyway. So what the heck? I just feel like it was so cowardly. And I hated it. I hated it. So yeah, when Bertholdt was getting eaten, I was like, aw. Except for obviously not really. And then I wrote, I wish Erwin had lived. And I still wish that. And then the last thing I wrote, which I don't think is true, is a theory. I said, is that other stupid Titan the white-haired lady? I don't think so. But I was just trying to figure out if that Titan that hurried off with Zeke, I was wondering if it was the lady from pretty much just season 1 when Eren first turns into a Titan, and then they try to utilize his abilities to get Trost, and she's there. She's, I think, older, and her hair is short, and I think like a gray-white color. And as soon as Eren turns into a Titan and doesn't immediately have control over himself, she's the one that's like, oh yeah, mission failed, send off the flare. And so I was like, is it her? We haven't seen her in a while. But I don't think so. I don't know if it's anybody we know. Maybe it's somebody we know. This is where I'm left. I'm sad. I don't have any more thoughts right now. That's it. I guess, sorry that I shouted so often during this. Anyway, that's all, I guess. It doesn't even feel right to put a clip of Luna at the end. But maybe I will, because she's cute, and maybe she'll lift your spirits. Because she lifted mine after I had to go through this batch of episodes. Best, probably for me, batch of episodes, even if they were the most upsetting. I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll watch the rest of this season. I know that the next one is something about the basement. And After what happened with Erwin, I turned to my husband. I'm like, if they find more of the fluid in that stupid basement, I am gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. So I hope there's no fluid in the basement. I hope they actually make it to the basement. Also, how funny would it be if there was nothing in the basement? I'm pretty sure there will be something. I just don't know what. Erwin's little, like, thing, like when he was a kid and asked the question. Gosh. Anyway. I'll see you all later, I guess. Have a great rest of your day, or whatever. But actually, thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all later. Bye.
Luna, you got your buddy? Yeah? You're a good girl. Oh.